Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight on Weird Awakenings. I'm Morgana Calder, and I'm here with the usual suspects, Miss Hadley Thorne, Henry Tully, Cecil Fletcher, and Stephen Hill.
Hey, everybody.
Hope everybody had a good week.
Absolutely. Yes. Me too.
Hey, I just got a notification that Weird Realities is live.
All right. That's good, because all I have to go by is that little thing at the top that says end broadcast. As long as it says end broadcast, I'm assuming we're live.
We are live.
All right. Good deal. All right. Tonight we are going to be talking about the Winchester Mystery House. The heir, Miss Sarah Winchester, to the Winchester Repeating Arms fortune, shortly after her husband died, decided to move out to California. And she bought this 8-room farmhouse, little small thing. And by the time she died, she had a 160-room mansion that spanned 24,000 square feet. Might not sound like too big of a deal, except that, you know, she had rooms that led to nowhere, stairwells that just ended at the roof. It was just a huge conglomeration. There are many theories about why she did this. The most prevalent of which,
sorry about that.
Hey.
But you know, it's everything.
They sounded serious. I was worried.
I know, right?
That's a big old duck.
It was a big effing duck.
Yes. So anyway, the price at the time, I think, was about $5.5 million to do all this. And Tully, how much did you say that was in today's money? Like $29 or something?
So $1 in 1880 would be the buying power of $29.33 today.
Wow. That's insane.
How much did it cost back then?
$5.5 million.
Jeez.
Yep. So her net worth,
was that like 160 million now?
No, after her inheritance, her net worth was $700 million.
In today's money or back then?
In today's money. Back then, I think it was only like $30 million.
Yeah. So yeah, it's insane. You know, that just the amount of money that was put into it. Like I said, you know, there are lots of different people have different ideas about why she did it. And the most prevalent being that she was being haunted by everyone that was ever killed by a Winchester.
Do you guys get bad vibes from the house?
Never been there.
It's
I was
weird.
supposed to go and didn't go.
I've never been either, but like I've probably seen 5 different documentaries on this house and YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's some places like when you see it, you just, even if it's from secondhand stuff like documentaries, you can like kind of vibe it out.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really gotten bad vibes from the Winchester house.
No.
It's not a place I'd want to live.
I'd love to live there. I would love it.
6 kitchens.
I mean, I would love to go and just be left alone, you know, not with a tour guide or anything, just to be able to explore.
Breaking in is not an option.
No, they frown on that.
She was very obsessed with the number 13. Like there's a lot of 13 that takes place.
So the house itself, construction went on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 38 years.
Wow.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
maybe my theory is that they didn't have like apps for fan noises back then to sleep and stuff. Like maybe she just needed an ambient noise to be able to relax.
You know, okay, I could consider sawing with a regular saw as ambient, but not so much like hammers.
Yeah.
I have an issue with repetitive noise. I love ambient, but like somebody clicking a pen or something like that just makes me want to strangle them.
No slinkies?
No.
It just so
No,
happens that I love clicking pins.
Oh yeah, I will hurt you. Everybody does it. I'm going to tell you, and I never realized it until we had a girl that worked for us that had a compulsive clicking, and she would be standing behind you, just click, 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 and you turn. If you don't stop, and she'd be, "What are you talking about?" She had no idea she was doing it, and now, if you click a pin around me more than a couple of times, I'm going to give you a look.
Oh, that's cool. Mike's been to the Winchester house.
Oh, cool.
Really?
Did you get bad vibes, Mike?
Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie. Hey, Landa. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, that's that would be cool to know, Mike, because you've actually been there.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I would like to. I do. I think it would be very interesting just to explore and see. It was creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah, but was it because of the architecture, or did you feel like a presence? Because the architecture is pretty creepy, and her obsession with the number 13. And I was looking into the whole like numerology aspect of that. I mean, 13 is like a divination number.
Wasn't she obsessed with the occult?
Oh,
Yeah,
she
but
had-
in my opinion, she was getting punked out by a psychic.
Or a bunch of them. I mean, but to me, what my impression, again, this is based on nothing other than my personal take on it. The house seems erratic, and it doesn't have any consistency. That's what my problem with. It's just like it just doesn't feel right. Not that it feels like ooh oogie boogie. There's something gonna get me. It feels like
I
and it
know
is.
I know what you're saying.
It just. I mean, it's like being in the mind of a crazy person.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree
Well,
with you there.
I'm curious, did anybody find this? Because I really don't remember seeing something specific. I mean, I know that she, talked to psychics and she was told that there was a curse because of the guns and all this other stuff. But did anybody ever see anything that said that she did it? What made her choose the things that she did? Why have a staircase stopping at the ceiling?
Well, I found one thing that said that through the I don't know, I guess through the psychic or whatever, the seances became a really popular thing after the Civil War, during the time of that, and around the late 1800s, which was, they had the seances everywhere. And she would go to a certain room every night at midnight and have the seance. And in order for her to keep the bad things away, she had to listen to the spirits. And that's why the house is designed the way that it is. Now, whether that's really true or not, I don't know.
So to play on that, I read that it was a reaction thing. So they were performing all of these seances, and I guess there were spirit boards, and they would ask what to build next. Yeah. And that's how you get all these random things.
And these little demons were sitting there just giggling behind their little
claws.
Yeah. Like, oh, let's do a stairway to nowhere.
Tell her to build a window in the hallway.
Yeah, let's put a window in one of the floors.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nowhere. It'll freak people out for years. Let's do it.
So what if all of these seances, what if the house wasn't like, it didn't have any negative energy, but then through all these seances, it welcomed in something. You know what I mean?
No, that's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you can, and again, I just don't think you can mess with a Ouija board that many times and not have some bad juju show up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because something's going to catch attention.
And not me with 20 of them in my closet.
You're not using them though. That's what I mean. Is you're people that are using them all the time. That's just
You're containing them.
But you also are someone who knows what to do with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, we have to. Okay, so let's say she consulted 9 psychics over the years, and we realized, okay, well, s- over half of them are going to be frauds. So she's possibly maybe dealing with 3 people who know what they're doing, and
Yeah.
maybe one of those is ethical.
What's suspicious to me? It'd be like if I said that I was psychic, and I come to you, and first of all, if I knew that you had $20 million and I was unethical, I'm gonna tell you something to where I can keep coming back for more. You know what I mean?
Let's
If you
build a
have
room.
if you have
Exactly.
20
That's,
million to 1 million.
And if
Yeah.
I'm like, Hadley, you have to atone for your family's sins,
yeah,
and we need to keep having these sessions.
yeah.
Well, and I can tell you right now what I'm going to say to that is, on the chance that he's not full of shit, I better start building.
Yeah, and no doubt the death of her daughter, you know, that had to, there's no doubt that made a huge impact on her. I believe she grieved for the rest of her life
Mhm.
over losing her daughter.
Yeah. And didn't she lose like her daughter, her husband, and her parents all there, like just in a really short period of time?
Well, her husband passed away about 15 years after their daughter died,
Okay. All
but
right.
they never had any more children.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right. Okay.
She was too busy building.
yeah, so with that, I mean, with the hit on what Tully was talking about, you know, with making that psychic that had the inside connection to her, you know, didn't want to lose the paycheck. It's kind of like, you know, you don't want to go to a doctor who's making payments on a really huge house.
Yeah.
That doctor will always find something wrong with you, so you keep coming back.
Yeah. You know,
Well,
it was like in 2016, she constructed a special room. And like there was a big earthquake that happened at one point, and
Yeah.
she thought it was the spirits. And she had
Mhm.
constructed a
Yeah.
room to hide out in. And after the earthquake, they sealed it off. And I think they unsealed that room, which is, you know, what Mike said. There are rooms that are still sealed up. They unsealed that room that she hid in like 2016, I think.
Really?
And it looked crazy. There was a lot of like antiquities and stuff that you could see. I'm sure nobody's allowed in there if that stuff's still there.
Yeah. Well,
But that's
until
so
the-
sad. I mean, you think about it, it's really a sad way to live your life.
mhm.
It sounds like
Yeah.
Shangri-La to me. I'd love to be
Well,
like
and
that.
until the earthquake hit, I mean, at one time the house was 7 stories tall.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Huge. You know, for a house, I don't guess I've ever heard of a house that was 7 stories
No,
tall.
no, I never have.
That's a hotel.
Yes.
You know, a small one, but that's a hotel.
Didn't that house sell in the last 5 or 10 years?
It may have. I didn't
I
find
I
that.
think
I know
they're
it's
still
toured.
touring it and everything.
Yeah.
Elon
Yeah.
Musk probably bought it.
I looked
Let me
it up.
see.
I looked it up today, and it was open. So I think it's a torn. Still,
It definitely is, but what I'm saying is I think it actually changed hands of ownership.
2020, somebody probably put it on the market.
you know, there's
Probably.
speculation. You know, there's speculation that it didn't even have anything to do with ghosts or anything, but she was like a member of a secret society, like the Rosicrucians or maybe even the Freemasons, and that this house was built into like to honor the gods of whatever secret society she was part of.
Okay, I'm pulling up the timeline on this. Okay,
Timelines.
timelines. Let's see.
As of 2022, the house is owned and operated by the Winchester Mystery House LLC, which is a private company that represents the descendants of the Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah, no
Okay,
idea.
so in 1922, Daisy Marriott, Sarah's niece, inherits $3,000 from her aunt, the contents and personal possessions from both Sarah's homes, and the income from a $200,000 trust for the remainder of her life. Let's see, 1922. auction sell. So the house and the surrounding acreage is auctioned off. John and Mamie Brown in 1923 is who ended up with the house. 1923, the mansion is open for public tours. So that's when the tours started. 1924, Harry Houdini visits the mansion on Halloween night, seeking to debunk the paranormal stories in true Houdini fashion.
Yeah.
He leaves with more questions than answers, however, and famously referred to it and dubbed it as the Mystery House.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Houdini, he went around to a lot of those to debunk a lot of the seances that were going on.
I think he did that because he got so pissed off at psychics.
Yeah.
That's
because
exactly
he found
what it was.
yeah, he found wires and strings and all sorts of stuff, that the tricksters were using to hustle money and fool the people they were supposedly trying to have a seance with.
He just wanted to talk to Mama. They were fooling him. It would have been interesting to work for this woman, not even as like one of the construction crew, but she had 18 servants and 18 gardeners that worked for her.
Mhm.
Like, could you imagine walking around this house and like
Having
it had to be
dust.
dangerous.
Well,
Yeah.
this is terrifying. There was apparently a wax museum up until 1980 in there.
That would have been scary as hell walking through that house and seeing just random wax figures everywhere.
Have any of you ever been to a wax museum?
Yeah.
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 My wife about knocked over $110,000 sculpture and it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
That she almost knocked it over.
Almost, yeah. I was
Okay.
like, what in the world?
So there's a goddess, and I'm going to butcher this name. It's Hebe.
Heavy.
I don't know what she's the goddess of.
The
But-
heebie-jeebies.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, there were dual statues that Sarah had at the entrance of this random goddess.
Goddess of youth or the prime of life. She was the cupbearer for the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus, serving their nectar and ambrosia.
So
Oh,
those were destroyed. Apparently, it doesn't say how, but in 2004 they restored those statues.
So it sounds like she might have been like trying to confuse death or something,
Interesting.
right?
That's weird.
Trying to keep her youth and beauty or whatever.
The prime of life. Yep.
In 2019, this is the last thing on here. Winchester Mystery House begins Unhinged, the all new immersive theatrical horror
Bethany.
experience.
Hey, Bethany. Oh, wow.
So not only do you have a haunted house, now you've got like actors, like horror actors running around.
That'd be actually really fun. I've always wanted to go something like that.
So with that, you no doubt, no doubt. I mean, they're doing tours and stuff like that just to bring in more tourism. Surely. Unless they had,
Bethany said she'd go.
You know,
Bethany,
you
you
know-
should jump on with us.
I'm looking at one of the fireplaces that's in here, and it looks eerily similar to the Tartarian fireplaces,
The energy fireplaces.
the energy fireplaces. You think?
Well, it
maybe
was
she trying to keep up with energy?
the house was older than 1880. That's just when I think the add-on started, I believe.
Right.
So-
yeah, that's
so-
what she.
Very possible that it may have been founded.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with some technology left over from Tartary.
Harder.
And hang on,
That's
I
where they-
totally lost my train of thought.
That's where they invented tartar sauce too.
Well, thank goodness for them.
Hey, Bethany, have you been there? Just curious.
She lives in Arizona and she goes to California a lot, so she might have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
California.
I mean, you have that.
Sadly, no. She put it on your bucket list.
Mhm.
I'm jealous of living in Arizona. It must be awesome.
She's snowed in right now.
Really?
In Arizona?
Maybe not snowed in, but it was snowing. She posted a picture. See, if you were
Weird.
if you were on the Book of Faces, Tully, you would know this.
All right. So, as to her being intrigued with number 13, it says nearly all the windows contained 13 panes of glass. The walls had 13 panels. The greenhouse had 13 cupolas. Many of the floors contained 13 staircases, 13 sections. Some of the rooms had 13 windows. The mansion had 13 bathrooms, and many of the staircases had 13 steps.
What about
So numerology. So I'm sorry, Tully, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say, what's the numerology of 13? Does someone know?
It said it was divination, but something just hit me as you were reading that. I'm just like, isn't 13 skull and bones?
Yeah. Well, 13, I don't know where the idea that 13 was an unlucky number came up from, but if you look at the seal of the United States of America, there's 13 all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 13 moons in a year.
It's associated with the divine.
I know. I mean, and it's associated with the divine in every religion.
Yeah. And, until, people started getting crappy about stuff, Friday the 13th used to be considered good luck.
Yeah. Well, when did that change?
It was the Knights Templar massacre.
That's what it was? Okay.
Yeah. So after the Holy War, the Templars were basically like the people. Like they had more power and were looked upon better than most leaders. So of course the leaders at the time were like, we can't have nobody stepping up better than us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they ordered their execution,
Right.
basically like that Star Wars order with all the stormtroopers or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They had even gotten more powerful than the church, than the Pope. Yeah.
Oh,
and they did that on Friday the 13th. But to your earlier point, Morgana, I think that they purposefully did that on Friday the 13th because of the numerology behind it. Just like how we see certain events happen today on very specific calendar dates because of the symbology behind those dates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yes, Bethany, I remember the first time I got on a hotel elevator and did not see the 13 on the the floors.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, so numerology, 13 would be 4.
Mm-hmm.
And in the tarot deck, what's 4 is you have the Fool, the High Priestess, the Magician. Is it the Empress or the Emperor?
Hang on.
There's a lot of research happening live.
That's right.
Well, we're talking about stuff that we could have never known that we were going to be talking about.
Right.
It's the Emperor.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Emperor, and the symbolism in the Emperor card is what? I'm sorry, I'm going back on 30 years of knowledge here. It's kind of blurry.
You're trying to remember Kabbalah,
So-
gematria.
So this is just the Google version. It says that it represents the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, and air. Represents a man sitting on a throne holding a golden scepter, symbol of authority and power. Let's see.
Mars is war and anger, which would go into the gun stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Father figure, law and order.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a true professional with me.
That's my kind of
the best
professional right
kind.
there.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's interesting how everything ties together. And I mean, I can totally.
Well, we were talking about her being in secret societies potentially. Wasn't Houdini part of the Masons?
It seems right.
I think he was a high-ranking Mason. I would have to go back and look it up. But 13 is also used, I believe, in Skull and Bones, which is still a fraternal order today. There are a lot of presidents who are members of the Skull and Bones Society.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of our leaders. And I believe Skull and Bones has a hub at one of it may be Princeton, at one of the big colleges.
Harvard.
Princeton or Yale.
Is it Yale? Oh, it's Yale
Yale.
because that's where George W. went.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. At one time, supposedly they had they supposedly had the skull of Geronimo, and they had to take it back. That's what the story is.
I forget the whole history, but they're definitely like a bastard offshoot of the Illuminati.
If I'm not badly mistaken, I think George Senior's or maybe even his dad is the one that stole the skull of Geronimo.
I didn't think anybody knew where he was buried. Or is it Crazy Horse? Is it Crazy Horse that they took off and no one knew where he was buried?
It may have been Crazy Horse because Geronimo was buried at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, on Quanah Parker Drive.
Well, and here's the thing too that is really sad. She died in her sleep when she was 83 years old. The house that she put $5.5 million into was valued at $5,000 at her death.
Wow.
Because of the damage from the earthquake and then just the impractical nature of how the house was built. So most likely the people who got it at auction got it at a pretty dirt cheap price.
I found something interesting. A repressed lunar cult in ancient times, the number 13 represented femininity because it corresponded to the number of lunar menstrual cycles in a year. The theory is that as the solar calendar triumphed over the lunar, the number 13 became anathema.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up too, and there's so many different origin stories of the unlucky 13 that's really hard to determine. One of them is about the Norse, like all the gods and everything were partying, but Loki wasn't invited, and he showed up, and he's the unlucky 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff about unlucky 13. It's hard to track down the true origin of that, I'd imagine.
Well, it's considered Judaism's lucky number.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it in the Kabbalah.
Yeah, because there were always 13 tribes. Everybody always thinks there were 12. There were actually 13.
Yeah, Mike said that there's a Netflix documentary on it. I think that's one of the documentaries that I've seen on it. There's a lot on YouTube too, where you can see full tours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is interesting. So, let's go back to the goddesses at the door, because according to the Kabbalah, 13 is the age in which you become a man or a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's obsessed with youth, that would be tied in with 13.
Huh. So,
and y'all heard it here.
I think on one of the ghost hunts that I've seen there, somebody actually takes a repeater in there with them too.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I don't think they shoot it, but that'd be funny. Like if they just went in there and started going to town.
And I mean, by all intents and purposes, it could have been like guilt, like for her husband creating this thing that killed so many people. I mean, maybe the guilt set in on her, and then like she had some form of psychosis that's like everybody that's ever killed is going to come after me.
Well, I do remember reading something along the lines of before he passed away, he was like the treasurer for the company, and that she did feel guilty over the amount of money they were making because of the fact that people were dying.
You know what? I wish that was like universally applicable. Like I wish there was a Marlboro house somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like the McDonald's house.
Hey, McDonald's house. That's for adopting kids or something, right?
Sick kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, like a McDonald's mansion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're putting up walls and windows and staircases to keep Ronald away.
Well, to be
Five
fair,
Nights at Freddy's.
the McDonald brothers aren't the ones that drove it to what it is. Roy Kroc
True.
stole that.
Well, it just says I just looked it up and it said 13 was her favorite number.
Mhm. Yeah, they
So-
say that over dozens of psychics have visited, since it's been a tour house, and that most of them left saying that there are spirits, including Sarah Winchester's, and said that there's
She
one
probably can't
ghost.
find her way out.
Right, exactly. But said one ghost that is said to linger is that of a handyman that continues to repair a fireplace in the grand ballroom. Could you imagine your afterlife trying to fix a fireplace?
Let him
That's
cook.
ideal. Have you ever watched Your Pretty Faces Going to Hell?
No.
Like
Mhm.
that's my truest definition of the worst possible hell there is, working in a cubicle constantly.
Mm.
Like for all eternity. That's what that show
I
is.
could think of worse.
I don't know. I'd rather be torn apart daily.
Well, okay, so let's go back to the ghost that's repeatedly. Is that just the house's memory though?
And that's possible too.
Well, we talk about the different kinds of spirits. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like the one on loop. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think it's an impression that the house has. You know,
I mean,
Mhm.
it could be
Or-
the house on Haunted Hill situation. She could have potentially developed a living home, like like a living entity.
oh,
Right.
she
Yeah,
probably
it's-
got that house is built so that spirits can't escape it.
I've got to get this guy's name so I can give him credit. I have a very interesting theory that I'll share in just a minute.
Some
can share
think
it
it was
when you're-
designed to be a labyrinth.
Yeah, that's the one that I think is the most likely. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
so
So,
huge.
so I was listening to this guy talk about celestial codes and astrotheology. His name is Chance Garton. And he talks about he does a lot of personal sound tunings, and his opinion on a lot of some of what possessions are part of your own regressed energy that you've closed off from yourself to a point to where that energy starts to want to make itself known to you. And he does these healings for people. And I was listening to him talk about all this, and it's if you put so much energy into something, like her with this house, for instance, especially if it's like tormented energy, you're basically, in his opinion, creating your own demon, because the energy is separate from you at that point because you've contributed it out into the universe.
Is that like is it a tulpa?
Maybe that does sound like something. Yeah, it does sound like something that he said. But he went into like different deities as examples, like the different voodoo deities and sub deities that you see in various cultures around the world that start out as real people, and because of the way that these people experience life while they're living, they create basically a proxy of themselves and spiritual energy that can either be a positive energy or what we would perceive as a negative energy,
Oh,
or a
Lord.
demon or poltergeist. But he did mention that there are legitimate hauntings, but more times than not, people's experiences of hauntings, personal hauntings, is a result of like a blockage within yourself. It could either be memory regression or, some sort of pain that you have in your past that you're not addressing that needs to be addressed, like chakra work or, even psychological, like therapy. But his primary means by which to address these things with most people is sound therapy. And he was saying that the last person he worked on, and this is going to sound unbelievable. He said that this person had a 6-inch variance on their legs because they had been in an accident when they were younger. And it basically threw his spine out of alignment to where there was a variance to the point where he had to wear, shoes with the big spacers so that his feet were even. Said that he conducted this 2-day sound bath therapy, and within 5 hours of it ending, that it realigned to where his legs were even again.
Wow.
Wow.
Really?
You'll have to talk with Jason Lee about that.
Yeah. So
That's
that
interesting
kinda-
because. Sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds similar to a device that was invented that would figure out the rat vibration to get rid of tumors and cancers and all sorts of illnesses.
That's what he. I think it's rooted in that same technology, but he's just using like a very prolonged way to go about it. Like he's still using manual tuning forks and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But he says that like everybody's experience is completely unique, but sometimes people will like, if they're addressing certain pains and anxieties that they have, people will often like throw up or have like these crazy reactions, but then afterwards they feel like this big release of whatever's been built up.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What were you before I interrupted you, Hadley? What were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I interrupted you, but I was talking with Tracy about my kidney stones, and she started asking me if I'd ever researched into like what's with my chakra that is associated with the kidneys. And I mean, she started telling me about like some back pain that she had and that it turned out to be rooted into some emotional stuff that she had, and once she worked through it, and she said it took her a long time and a lot of work to like do all the stuff with it. The back pain went away and it's never come back.
Well, and it's rooted in science. I mean, really, ultimately, it is rooted in science because if you think about like, and physics, like not quantum theory, but string theory, that we're all vibrational beings. Right. Then obviously, things that vibrate can have a negative impact on us, but things like the tuning forks and sound baths can also have a very positive impact. And if you think about speakers, you put sand on a speaker and play certain noises, and it makes like the gematria patterns.
Yeah. You put like a steel ball on it in the sand, and it'll make a pattern. Yeah.
And a lot of those patterns we see in religions around the world, like Kabbalah patterns. But think about like what that does to the water within us as well. Like most of our body's made up of water.
Yeah, was it like 75% or something?
So that machine, what was it called? The Roth machine, or was it something different?
That may have been it. I don't remember. I'm not sure on the name of it.
There was a machine that was basically like technologically more advanced than just tuning forks that this person was using to heal people of all these different diseases just through sound. Yes. And of course it was taken, and the patent was taken.
Yeah, like many other things.
And I think we have an episode somewhere that we did like 8 different cancer and major diseases that had been solved for already, where patents have been seized.
It's called Where Them Things At.
Where Them Things At. And is that that Wearing the Folk?
yeah.
It's so it's on our bit shoot. It's called Where's Them Things At?
Where-
We cover a lot of different.
I a lot of times, I told you I go to sleep to music or meditation or anything like that, but I listen to a lot of the solfeggio frequencies, and certain ones I can't listen to because the pitch, they I can't get comfortable with them and everything. So yeah, I have to go change them in.
I listen to bad ghost stories on other podcasts.
Well, I can't. If I start listening to a podcast, I fall asleep like immediately. I can't lay down and listen. It just doesn't work for me. The exception being you and Alan one night on a show, and that one.
I know what you're talking about.
When I was a young man, and the internet was more trustworthy than it is today, I used to do some guided hypnosis on like before bed. And I can tell you that's some of the craziest experiences, especially when you do a hypnosis to go from being awake to sleep for the night. Those were some of the most like lucid experiences I ever had.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But those, I'd be afraid to do it now just because of how tainted our airwaves are. And that I'm getting way off topic here.
Not necessarily.
We've talked about the owner of Netflix. I guess the CEO of Netflix is related to. Oh Lord, you know where I'm going. I can't think of his name. Sigmund Freud.
Oh yeah.
He's related to Freud. Freud's nephew, I think it was, who was the propaganda czar during his time. So one of his descendants is one of the CEOs or co-owners of Netflix. And sometimes when I used to have Netflix, I would be watching certain shows, and there'd be certain pitches that would come on that would sound almost like a weird tune-in fork, but I mean it wasn't like a true tune-in fork sound. And there were certain noises like that and certain ringing in certain shows that would make me feel very uncomfortable for a few minutes after I heard the noise.
What were you watching?
I don't know. I can't remember. But at the time, I do remember multiple people being like, this sound made me feel sick. Like it was all
I
over
want to
Twitter.
get you and I want to get Gracie together because y'all both will be trending on the same weird shit. And she's one of these people that she's like, all these folks are talking about this weird sound they've been hearing, how it made them all sick at their stomach. And I'm like, yeah, and I think Tully sent me something about that.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
That's legit though. Like in certain states and like even in parts of Mexico, like people hear constant tones.
Yeah.
Where's that one place they hear that hum coming out of like a pit? Oh crap! Where is that?
Was that in Washington State?
It may be, but it's a constant like deep hum. That yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That would drive me crazy.
Yeah, I know my wife. If we're watching regular TV and we happen to be whatever channel Law and Order is on, I'll either have to mute the TV or change the channel so she doesn't hear the intro music to the show.
Well, and I swear to you, if you started at my house, Cecil lives about 3.5 hours away, depending on traffic. But if you were to start at my house and go to Cecil's house, you could not drive 3 miles without seeing a cell phone tower.
Yeah.
Like a big 5G tower.
Really?
And I think that they're pouring. If you think about the amount of income these phone companies are getting, imagine a product that every single person in modern society had. Like how much money you'd be making. Because I'm wondering, how are they affording all these towers? And all these waves, same thing. Like we're talking about like a reversal of the sound that actually helps our bodies and the frequencies and vibrations that help our bodies.
Yeah.
That they're doing the opposite to us. They're putting all of these waves in the air so that we can't connect to that divine spark as easily as what we could pre all of this modern stuff. Like I even think about back into the early 2000s. I personally could connect with that a lot easier. And I'm sure there's a ton of factors between what's in our food, what's in our air, what's the waves, but a combination of all of that is making it harder and harder for each generation to reach that divine spark and connect with whatever we've parted from at birth.
Well, here's a small aside. You talk about seeing, these towers and stuff. There's a city up close to where Hadley's at that you cannot build there without it being the same as the facade of the rest of the town. And their cell phone tower's in a big obelisk. So you don't even know it's there. You just see this big stone structure,
That's fitting.
Like, wow, that's really cool. It's like, a Washington Monument or something that stands out there. But it's actually an AT&T tower.
Big old picker.
That's the one.
Oh, and that guy that I mentioned earlier, I forget his name now. That guy is legit, first of all, when it comes to like sound therapy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he also studies religious symbology, and the way he can just rattle all of this stuff off is insane. But he talked about the origination of like where the obelisk's power come from.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, very interesting as well.
Well, don't forget at the end of the month, we have Jason Lee, and we're talking about sound therapy and healing.
Yeah, y'all hauled all that stuff off.
Yeah. Just FYI. Okay. So here we go. Back on subject for just a minute.
Oh.
All right. Most of what you hear about Sarah Winchester is from rumor and neighbors that she didn't associate with. They said when she moved in, people went by and introduced themselves, and she never responded or anything. So, you've got the gossips and stuff like that. That's every story that's come out, but you don't hear anything about her niece. Was it Sarah? I think was her name.
I think, hang on, I can tell you.
I'm identifying very strongly with Sarah Winchester.
Let's see, Sarah's niece, Daisy Marriott.
Okay, there we go. Nobody ever talked to her. So really, it could be anything. I mean, she could have actually been seeing and experiencing this. It could have been something that, like you say, you bring the psychics in and they attract these things because, and who's to say like what type of, meridians or lines or anything are under this house.
I can tell you how much money she spent on this, actually.
My thing with this house is I'm starting to feel like it may be like a living entity because it's been around over 100 years or close to 100 years as completed. And no one's really sure how many rooms it has to this day.
Right.
I think that it has 160 is like what they quote.
Okay.
Oh.
And there are locked rooms that you're not allowed in. So what are they locking away?
Exactly.
They can't get in them?
They're sealed.
I'd be getting into them. I'll say that. I can't even get into my secretary. It's I've tried to break into it. I can't get into it. But I think that the curiosity would have gotten into me. I would have really wanted to know what was in those locked rooms.
Oh yeah, I would have cracked it open for sure by now.
Unless it's something that you're not supposed to let out.
Portals.
Seeing if she could have, see if her psychic, could have drawn something in, it may still be there because those things tend to be territorial, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Sarah spent the equivalent in today's money of $411 million building all that stuff.
Is that it?
That is just a waste of money.
So she only gave. I mean, you have to think about this. All that was left was $200,000 for out of the $20 million. All that her niece inherited, and the only inheritance that's talked about is $200,000 in a trust fund and her assets.
Yeah. She left her everything except the house. The house was not mentioned in her will at all.
James
And-
Copeland is saying that he thinks that you can take an unguided tour through the house.
I'd
Hey,
be
James.
afraid to fall like through a
Hi,
door.
James.
Yeah, because some of the doors open up to simply a hole in the floor.
Well, I'm telling
Yeah.
you,
Well,
it's
there's
because they
one that
probably got some
opens-
kind of demonic entity trapped in there.
And there's one that is like up multiple floors up that opens out into the grounds. You know, you go through that door and you're done.
Maybe that's where the Winchester, what was it, the Winchester pistol from Supernatural that can kill anything?
Yeah,
Maybe that's where that's at.
I want that gun.
Yeah.
I want
It's
that
a
gun
Colt.
and I want that car. It is a Colt. But
Oh yeah, the Colt. It's
Yeah.
the Winchester brothers, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it works though. You know, it all fits in. Okay, did anybody watch the movie Winchester with Helen Mirren?
I fell asleep.
Yeah, I
Did
fell
you-
asleep in it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it from start to finish, but I caught bits and pieces of it. I like Helen Mirren, but it's just not generally the type of movie I watch.
It's
But yeah,
What do we
it's
got? What do we got next week coming up?
next week.
Landa watched it. She can't remember much of it either.
That says a lot right there. Okay, what do we have next week? That's a good question. I just
Hold
sent you an updated
I've
list.
got it. Hold
Yeah.
on. Let me pull it up.
I haven't pinned it yet.
Okay.
I've got it. Hold on.
I ain't printed it off. I'm a paper person. I like destroying trees.
Okay, so what's next week? 3:10.
10.
The Ogihara Forest.
Yeah.
Japanese
Okigahara.
Yep.
Japanese
Okigahara.
suicide forest.
Yes.
Then
That'll
it's
be
going
a
to be
fun
Knights
one.
of the Golden Circle. What are the Knights of the Golden Circle?
Stephen Hill, that's your cue because that was your recommendation.
Okay. Well, supposedly what the Knights of the Golden Circle were some of those from the Confederacy who took some of the gold and some of the other things, and what they vowed to do was to go infiltrate Washington, D.C. and change things up.
Oh, that will be fun.
Mhm.
The Okigahara is crazy. There's
Yeah.
there's
Is
so
that the
many.
Suicide Forest?
Yes.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting. Then we got some herbal medicine on the 24th, and then Sound Theory with Jason Lee on the 31st.
Herbal.
The herbal. Cecil has his own.
Not herbal medicine.
We've already talked about alternate states, Cecil. So,
Then we got Easter's off. Oh, Easter's like the Easter weekend is like right before my birthday.
Really?
Well, maybe we should have a birthday episode.
Yeah.
we can do that.
We could have a free for all episode that just talk about whatever comes up.
Well, y'all are wanting to take Easter off. My birthday's the 11th, so we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Your birthday's the day after Hitler's. Is that right? Oh, was he born on April 20th? I can't. No, he's born.
I don't think it was the day before mine.
I think he was born April 21st.
What the
He's
heck,
born
man?
420.
Okay, I've got to look it up.
He's born on 420.
I know that my ex's ex-wife was born on my birthday, but supposedly
420.
Yeah, 420.
420. So
Yeah.
Cecil knew.
Now we know where he made that association.
James is saying that most of Japan looks haunted. I
It
think
kinda-
Japan's beautiful, except for like the cities, but the landscaping's gorgeous.
Anything that isn't the city looks haunted as shit. Like,
It's so
scary.
pretty there.
I'd go. I would go through the forest. I'd like to do a forest trip. First, let's go over to the other one.
I'd go to the other one, but I don't know about this one.
If I could go anywhere like that, like if you said that I could just have access to go see somewhere, I'd totally get a Geiger counter and go to Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all know who's been to Chernobyl?
Scott.
Yes. No, Rich.
Rich.
Ristucci.
Yeah, that's right. Rich has. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a reason I say he's the most interesting man alive. I mean,
I would go for the cryptids.
I want to
tell
do
you what,
Scotland.
Man, you and Cecil should just go south sometime. Go to the land between the lakes. That's really nice in there. Go. You can go see the buffalo enclosure. It's
That is neat.
Yeah,
they have elk there too, don't they?
I'm sorry.
They have elk there too, don't they?
I
Elk
think so.
and bison.
I've drove through there a few times.
But they got some Bigfoot up in there too.
That's why you got to take the Geiger counter, Linda. Make sure you ain't getting hit with too much.
Yeah. Yeah, with that right there, seriously though, y'all should go make a weekend of it. I mean, there's a lodge, I think, up at the north end of it.
And do a live show on location.
Yeah.
Let Steven give you some of those Bigfoot calls.
Yeah,
That's right.
I just pop my shirt off and run with the Bigfoot.
Just be sure you don't wear red.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I was waiting for a job to download the other day, so I'm playing with AI on my tablet. So it was me, Steven, and Tully hanging out with Bigfoot.
Cool.
That's the
answer. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I forget. Was it James that was asking about Chernobyl? It's called the elephant's foot. Whoever asked that about the mass in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think they filled it in with concrete recently, or a while back.
They did bury it in concrete. I had read that.
Yeah, I wonder you probably can't go visit Chernobyl anymore.
Well, the strange thing about
pretty rough.
But Chernobyl, the wildlife is flourishing around the Chernobyl
except for
area.
the Wyrd. Y'all forget about that?
James, look up pictures of the elephant's foot in Chernobyl and see if that's what you're talking about.
The big old blob of radioactivity.
Right.
Even the only pictures taken of that thing, the drone or whatever they were using to take the pictures literally melted after they were transmitted back.
Or so they say.
Well, Rich did say when he was over there, they would not let them in, but so far they wouldn't let them in the actual area.
And they had to get out by a certain time too.
You have to go with like a coyote. That's the only way to go to Chernobyl. That's the only way I would go, is to get a coyote to take you, because you can stay in like the actual houses and stuff. No. And everybody takes Geiger counters because you can like test everything before you decide to take a break.
You're very trusting of the Russians. Is it Ukraine? Didn't Ukraine have Chernobyl now?
Well, I think you have to go through Ukraine, and there's people in Ukraine that you can hire to like privately take you. That isn't like official.
I think Ukraine has it, because I want to say when the war started that Russia did something and unstabilized Chernobyl again. Did I just make this up?
Maybe.
I don't pay much attention to the news, but I remember that because I was like, "Well, that's stupid."
Yeah.
But Russia they did something that unstabilized it, and Ukraine took it back.
Well, I think what you're talking about is another nuclear facility. I don't think it's Chernobyl. I think it was there's an
Linda
active.
heard it too.
Well, there's an active. There's an active nuclear facility. Active nuclear facility that they're pandering over between Ukraine and Russia.
But no, they did something to. I've been telling you that this. It was news because
Google it.
I'm working on it.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
You got the reference from Hot Tub Time Machine.
Well, it said that they did capture Chernobyl a few weeks ago.
And there's also genetically mutated dogs.
See,
I have heard that.
Mike's got my back.
Oh, I want to see some of these puppies.
Chernobyl is in Ukraine, though. See, he's got my back
Chernobyl.
too. Thank you, Landa. Thank you,
Mike's-
Landa.
Mike's got everybody's back.
Mike's awesome.
The Chernobyl nuclear disaster altered the genetics of dogs. I want one of them puppies.
They've all been rehomed already.
Mm.
Are they green?
No.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
remember when
that?
those green puppies were born?
Have you seen the headless deer?
The headless deer?
Yeah, there's like headless deer in Chernobyl, like very mutated animals. Stuff that looks like it's from Fallout.
Oh, that's terrible.
They're not headless though.
They look
There's-
like it though.
Well,
Oh,
And that's the Winchester house.
Yes. We did talk a lot about the Winchester house.
Well, in our defense, we basically made an hour out of something that we probably could have cranked that out in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we could have.
But it's interesting. Something we don't talk about often.
I researched capgras or whatever.
Capgras syndrome.
Capgras syndrome.
Okay, what is capgras syndrome?
And that's the thought of whenever you think that you've died or been replaced by somebody.
All right.
I
I
was
thought you
actually
were just BSing.
No, I actually researched that, and then last night about 9 or 10 o'clock, Chloe's like, "Oh yeah, we're doing Winchester House tomorrow." I was like, "Shit!"
How did you guys? I'm sorry if I just didn't send it, but I could have sworn I sent the updates.
No, the last one we had was the September update. That's one I've had pinned. I've got the new one pinned now, though.
Okay, cool. Yes, because I got rid of the stuff that you couldn't pronounce.
You know, the only person making fun of me was Hadley. So
I didn't make fun of you.
If you go by the shit I can't pronounce, you're gonna have to take off a lot.
I know, I can't pronounce nothing. Are we actually doing a DB Cooper episode?
We are
I would
and
love.
we have
a
yeah,
special guest, don't we?
yep. So
Darren
he's
Schaefer.
Oh man, I'm gonna go on that gray pagan guy from Amsterdam. I'm going on his show on the 18th.
That's right, Landa.
That's cool.
Darren Schaefer is awesome. He is DB Cooper knowledge data bank. Like
He's dedicated his life to DB Cooper.
Really?
yeah.
He goes to all these conventions. He's been on some huge podcasts to
His
talk about
his podcast is
Cooper.
called the Cooper Vortex, and it is only about DB Cooper.
Oh wow!
Where does he get new information from?
He just talks to all kinds of different people.
He has talked to people directly involved in the case.
Well, he sounds fascinating.
He's
He's
awesome.
talked to the family that found some of the money. He's talked to them. He's talked. I mean, like you name it, and he's been there. I mean, he's been on podcasts that probably have like a 200,000 views weekly.
We need to get those kind of views.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
We need to get Dan and Teresa Dukes back.
Yes, with all the speculation over they found the treasure of Jesse James.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're Jesse James's great grandkids.
Have
I
you
feel
guys
like
watched?
if you all would let me do this without my shirt on, we get a lot more views.
We got to have something for behind the paywall, Cecil. I keep telling you.
Have you guys had a chance to watch the second season of Blind Frog?
I ain't watched the first.
Oh yeah.
Neither.
That's good. There's some.
I would
Really?
love. So before we became partners and before the show started, I was talking to the guy with dreadlocks on that show, to come and be a guest on Wearing the Folk, but he's still under like an NDA with Discovery Channel.
Wow.
I was talking to him. I think he would have came on, and I think if
Are
that
we going to
show
stay
ends,
on another 30 minutes?
Oh,
I'm just
We've
just
gone over.
reminding y'all it's been an
Oh,
hour.
shit, it's
If we
9:07.
start going into the weird awakenings after dark.
okay, guys, thanks so much for being here.
I love that Landon's got receipts.
yeah, that's awesome.
Landa and Jen had the best time last night.
Look,
Yeah,
Y'all
that's
need to
it,
come
Alan.
on Thursday nights.
Alan, it's on. I watch it on Discovery Plus.
Yep, it's a good show.
it's
And real
it's a
close
ranch
to the-
adjacent to
Skinwalker.
that one. Yeah.
real close to Skinwalker.
right.
Go ahead.
Hadley, what do y'all have coming up on Watching Weird? next
Well,
week?
I'm not going to be on this week. Sylvester Barzy is going to be sitting in for me, and they are watching Megan, the
Okay.
new movie about the AI kid.
Yes.
And I think David Muga might sit in as well. I'm not sure. It's going to be a boys' night,
Okay.
and anything goes. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So, but
Do
yes,
you know what Bethany and them have coming up?
they are doing a special St. Patrick's Day episode,
Mhm.
and I don't know when they're going to be back because the short month has got me screwed up. But I
Gotcha.
thought Crystal and Bethany were in here for a minute. Are they still on?
I don't know. I can't.
They might be
see
able to
anything.
tell us. I don't. Yeah, I guess they jumped off. But yeah, we got everybody. There's just a lot of stuff going and coming, and we've got some big changes coming out. I keep saying that we've got a press release that we're trying to get ready, and when we get it, there'll be a big announcement.
Mhm.
So
Yep. Lots of good stuff coming up in the future.
yeah, Weird Realities is growing, as y'all know. Weird Realities Network, and we're just doing some new stuff. So very exciting time.
Oh, there's Crystal.
Hey,
Hey.
Crystal.
What have you guys got coming up? St. Patrick's Day? Maybe.
I'm hoping to have the Merfolk episodes up starting tomorrow for Wearing the Folk, by the way. I'm hoping.
When is the next episode, Crystal? Because I was confused. I thought the date you gave me was like the 19th, but
Irish Urban Legends.
Leprechauns.
That'd be interesting.
Absolutely.
The little people.
We little people.
Yeah.
Well, Night Callers will be having their camp out March 17th through the 19th.
Okay.
Where's that
And
at?
That will be in McGee Creek Wildlife Management Area in Oklahoma.
well, that is awesome. And if y'all did not know, Night Callers has partnered with us.
Yes.
So they're one of our beautiful partners.
Mhm.
Have we ever done a real Bigfoot episode? Like a Bigfoot episode?
No, we haven't. We
We-
need to do that.
Yep, we can
Oh,
get,
yeah.
get her
I'd like
and
to
some
do
other
more
people
cryptid
on.
stuff. I'd
Yeah.
like to do more cryptid stuff periodically.
I'm wearing my Kentucky Hopkinsville Goblin shirt tonight.
We need to get us some
that-
more T-shirts. I was complaining today that all my Weird Realities T-shirts have holes in them.
Is that live yet?
What?
No, or not the merchandise, but we are.
Yep.
Whenever Morgana says we can go live with it, we'll go live with it.
When that's
I'm-
up, I'm gonna buy like 5 colors of those.
Of
I'm
the
getting
Tully
ready.
tank.
Yep.
I'm getting ready to.
You think I'm BSing you, but it really is called the Tully tank.
What? Does it have a picture of him on it? That'd be
No.
fun.
You know, there's this one guy that kind of, if you didn't know for sure, might be related to him. You know, I could just like Photoshop
No.
his face on there.
My wife says that totally looks like Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Maybe
All
I
right.
need to grow a mullet.
Okay, we're gonna call it a night, guys.
Yeah.
And again, thanks so much for joining us. And until next time, stay weird.
See you.